Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kendra Cook.
And I'm Jerry Tope. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we present news we hope you find interesting and report on local issues and events. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We appreciate you watching DCTV. Today's show is live Wednesday at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and re-aired on Saturday at noon, 2:30 and 8.
Today is December 14th, 2016. Now here's the news. We told you yesterday about the fire in Dunton in the Sheriff's Roundup segment. Additional details are available through the Cortez Journal report. That fire destroyed a large barn early Saturday morning at the Dunton Resort in Dolores County. The Dolores and Rico Fire Protection Districts were called out at 4 a.m., but the warehouse was fully engulfed when they arrived, according to the Dolores Fire Chief, Mike Zion. Nobody was injured in the fire, which was reported by Dunton residents. The blaze destroyed the building and the golf carts, resort supplies, and gas dryers inside. The cause is unknown, but foul play is not suspected. Quick thinking by residents and the first Dolores firefighter on scene likely saved a nearby resort residence. The residents were dousing the building with buckets of water, and it was enough to prevent the fire from spreading, he said. 20 firefighters, several tankers, and fire engines fought the blaze, which was knocked down in about 30 minutes. The barn and equipment inside was a total loss. The property, however, is insured. It took another 5 hours to mop up the scene. Dolores County brought in a loader to tear down the remaining structures so the fire could be completely snuffed out. Zion said the fire reinforces the need for a fire station on the West Fork of the Dolores River. Residents formed a volunteer fire department this year, but are still working on getting a station and year-round volunteers. Many of the volunteers had already left for the winter. A new West Fork fire station is being considered at Fish Creek, the nearest to the most residences. Local fire districts are donating equipment to the new fire department, including tanker and pumper trucks from the Dolores Fire Protection District and equipment from the Dove Creek Volunteer Fire Department. The West Fork is geographically isolated from Dolores County's main fire departments. Although the first 4 miles of the canyon are in the town of Dolores' fire district, the rest is in the Dolores County, including 85 homes and the Dunton Resort. The Dolores Fire Station is 35 miles from Dunton, and the Rico Fire Station is 40 miles away. The Dolores Fire Protection District has covered outside its town area for decades, but it recently announced it can't afford it any longer. If Dolores crews respond to West Fork residents outside their district, they plan to charge the homeowners to help cover the costs. For more information on the new West Fork Volunteer Fire Department, visit their Facebook page, which is West Fork VFD.
The Cortez Journal reported that vandals spray painted obscenities and slurs on a bus at Community Connections over the weekend. Employees and clients of the organization arrived Monday morning at Pine Street Community Center in Cortez and discovered that a wheelchair-accessible bus at the center had been spray painted with obscene messages and the word retards, according to the release. Community Connections President Tara Keen said in that release, incidents like this act of vandalism serve to intimidate people with disabilities and their families and their caregivers and call into question their safety in their own communities. An informational meeting will be held Thursday at 3:30 p.m. at the Community Center, 325 Pine Street. The paint had been cleaned off the bus by Tuesday afternoon. Community Connections provides opportunities for children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Keene called the incident a hate crime in her news release, saying that the U.S. Department of Justice defined crimes motivated by bias as hate crimes. Community Connections denounced the act. Under Colorado statute, a crime may be considered bias motivated if the defendant intends to harass or intimidate someone through words or conduct based on their race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, physical or mental disability, or sexual orientation. Words or conduct that are likely to produce bodily injury to a person or damage to a person's property may be considered bias motivated according to the statute.
According to the Dolores County weekly updates provided by Nunn Construction, the Senior Center and Public Service Center, or PSC, and new shop construction work is moving forward. Located at the northwest side of Dove Creek, the two projects are scheduled for completion in 2017. After extensive excavation and the first and second pour for the PSC and shop foundations were accomplished with foundation insulation on site. Foundation trenches have been compacted to grade. Empire Electric did the work on Gyrene Road to extend power to the property. Utilities were installed under the PSC Foundation, and the revised senior center plans were issued and resulted in the site being restaked to the final construction placement. The site signage has been installed, as well as the signage at the construction office trailer. Now all footings and foundations have been poured as of December 9th for the PSC and shop. The pre-engineered metal building and metal wall and roof panels have been delivered for the shop. And for the senior center, excavation has begun and blanketing practices are being performed to prevent the ground from freezing, which could potentially halt construction activity on that site. Coming up next for the PSC and shop will be preparations for pouring the concrete pad, underground electrical and plumbing rough-in, with new contractors coming on site. And for the senior center, excavation for the building pad will continue as Dolores County workers finish up with the PSC and shop. Continuing weekly updates will be provided to keep you informed of their progress. Thus far, subcontractors involved in this project include XL Concrete and Dolores County for earthwork, Nichols Electric, Farmington Heating and Air, and Cruzan Construction. The project is coordinated by Nunn Construction.
Reported in the Cortez Journal, state regulators are considering allowing the hunting of mule deer predators in some parts of western Colorado in an effort to increase deer populations. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission on Wednesday will consider the proposal. It will allow for the removal of as many as 15 lions and 25 bears a year from the Roan Plateau in northwestern Colorado. The plan would be enforced for 3 years to see if it boosts fawn survival rates. Under the proposal, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services would be contracted to do the roundup and culling using hounds and live traps and snaring. Captured predator families would be relocated and the rest would be killed. Meat from the dead would be donated to the needy. In the Upper Arkansas Basin, the proposal would allow hunters to kill lions in an effort to keep help deer populations. The Humane Society, United States Sierra Club, Center for Biological Diversity, the Cougar Fund, and other organizations sent CPW a joint letter last week appealing for the agency to stop its plans. That was according to the Daily Sentinel of Grand Junction. The Sentinel said that opponents argue that the agency should first focus on improving winter range and addressing habitat impacts, including oil and gas development and livestock grazing. 3 Colorado State University wildlife professors, Joel Berger, Kevin Crooks, and Barry Noon, also criticized the proposal. CPW's plans to test the effects of predator removal are not based on science, they said, and run counter to prior scientific evidence published by CPW's own researchers. We are concerned that CPW's proposals are based on a narrow response to a vocal and diminishing minority of the general public focused on predator control as a means to increase hunting opportunities, these professors wrote to the agency. The commission has held several public meetings about the proposal, one in Rifle. The Daily Sentinel reported that of 37 attendees, about half a dozen opposed the Roan Plateau project and a number of others supported it. According to a CPW summary from the Rifle meeting, supporters of the proposal argued that predators have robust populations and should not be regarded as untouchables in a management plan. They encouraged predator management control studies and management actions. A live audio of the meeting Wednesday in Fort Collins will be posted on the Parks and Wildlife website.
In a marijuana moment, according to the Cortez Journal, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment on Tuesday announced $2.35 million in grant funding for marijuana-related research studies to address potential public health and safety impacts of marijuana use. Colorado health authorities say they hope to fill gaps in marijuana research, which historically has been limited because recreational marijuana use was illegal. Research areas will include an assessment of driving impairment in occasional versus heavy marijuana users, the duration of marijuana in breast milk, and the types of marijuana products associated with emergency department visits. Other studies will examine marijuana use among older Coloradans, analysis of data comparing recreational marijuana use before and after legalization among college-age students, and the short-term cardiovascular effects of marijuana use. The 7th study looks at use of concentrated marijuana, a practice known as dabbing. The state already has funded $9 million in medical marijuana research, and earlier this year, the General Assembly authorized the additional funding to study potential public health and safety impacts of legalized retail marijuana. And now, let's take a look at the weather.
In Colorado, from Vail to Steamboat Springs, the influence of a collision of a Pacific origin front and an Arctic front will cause cold and snowy conditions. That area is expecting up to 10 inches of snow from now until sunrise tomorrow. For now, the cold line is along the I-70 corridor and just north and east of Grand Junction. Colder north and east and warmer to the south and west. For us here in Dolores County Broadcast Network country, we will be in the warmest part of the state until Saturday, and then we will get colder. There will be some snow over the nearer mountains through this evening, which will shift to the north after midnight. Tomorrow, the action will begin here. The National Weather Service said early this morning that it will be a really good storm. And snow levels tomorrow will be above 9,000 to 10,000 feet levels, and accumulations will be on the order of feet. Below that will be light rain beginning late Thursday night, and Friday morning onward will be snow in the higher terrain. The lower valleys will be rainy Friday as well. Colder Saturday and then ending with snow is the story told for this storm. And days and nights will be running about 20 degrees colder for the weekend. Most of next week looks to be only slightly warmer with little activity of any kind. Monday, we'll see about that. A Pacific low pressure system with more than normal moisture will spread rain and mountain snow into portions of the West Coast and Great Basin and Intermountain West today. Snow levels will rise over Wednesday night and Thursday. We may have areas of sleet or freezing rain at lower elevations. Snow levels will begin to lower once again across the northwest and northern Intermountain West Thursday night and Friday. Heavy mountain snow and valley rain will also spread into the central Rockies by Thursday night and Friday. Significant snow accumulations are expected across portions of the Great Basin, northern Intermountain West, Rockies, and Pacific Northwest. Flooding rains are possible across much of central and northern California. The threat for heavy precipitation will persist into Thursday and Friday, gradually shifting southward along the west coast. Across the central and eastern U.S., the main weather story over the next few days will be the Arctic air mass. That Arctic high will continue to drift southeastward through the next few days. Its very cold air will spread from the northern plains to the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. High temperatures today are expected to be 20 to 30 degrees below average over the north central U.S. and spread eastward on Thursday as well. Lake effect snows will get a boost downwind of the Great Lakes later today and into Thursday. Friday, another Arctic high will begin to bring a renewed blast of Arctic air into the northern and high plains. At the same time, moisture associated with the western U.S. storm will begin to spread over the central U.S. This will result in snow developing Thursday night into Friday across much of the northern plains, with mixed precipitation possible across the central plains. Today's high still supposed to be near 50 for tomorrow, actually. Then a cool for a bit Friday and drop Saturday to the mid-20s for the weekend and into Monday. Lows of near freezing tonight and tomorrow night, then Friday night in the mid-20s. Saturday night promises single digits, and Sunday and Monday just 1 or 2 degrees warmer maybe. Now back to the news.
The Durango Herald reports that cattle prices are falling. After peaking in 2014, cattle prices have fallen sharply and could sink even lower in 2017. The record high prices in 2014 were driven by a low number of cattle following droughts and die-offs. Farm and ranch consultant Bob Bragg said, probably a lot of ranchers aren't going to see those prices again in their lifetime. At the peak of the beef market in 2014, ranchers were selling calves for $1,200 to $1,500, but those prices have dropped steeply, and an economic forecast by the University of Colorado Boulder predicts prices will fall more next year. The average prices for steers and heifers in 2016 was $123 for every 100 pounds the animal weighed. The 2017 season average price for steers and heifers is forecast at $117 for every 100 pounds, the lowest since 2010, according to the report. The fall in prices started sooner than many ranchers expected in mid-2015. Bragg said most ranchers didn't even factor in that prices could fall as much as they have over the past 2 years. Wayne Semler, president of the La Plata Archuleta Cattlemen's Association, agreed the fall in prices has been tough for locals because no one was predicting it would happen. The cattle herds would build up faster than expected, and the beef industry has faced strong price competition from chicken and pork. In August, the U.S. opened up to imports of raw beef from Brazil, one of the largest beef producers in the world, which could drive down prices even further. Brazilian beef imports had previously been banned. Now is the time for ranchers to begin cutting costs if they haven't already. While the price for cattle is down, the prices of feed and fuel have also fallen, which have been positive. But it has the potential to hurt those raising alfalfa in addition to cattle. Even though the price of cattle has fallen, the cost of meat at the supermarket has not seen the same reduction. This is likely the case because while cattle prices were high, feedlots had trouble making a profit. Now the herds have higher numbers and feedlots are hesitant to pay higher prices. In addition, the companies running slaughterhouses seem to be doing well despite the downturn. One solution for ranchers could be selling more beef directly to the consumer. But direct marketing is challenging because cattle producers need to have the room to raise most of their herd to adulthood. In addition, there are individual producers with hundreds of cattle in the county, and it seems unlikely there is enough local demand for all of that beef.
We've been reporting this week on climate event attribution and problems in communications that lead to myths and errors in understanding and their perpetuation. Another issue for communication is the response of the climate system to warming includes an intensifying of the water cycle, leading to both more droughts and more floods. Because higher air temperatures dry out soils and warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, leading to heavier precipitation, and heavier precipitation to erosion and flooding. When things like this are not explained to non-scientists, the combination of both wetter and drier conditions can seem illogical. Also, the causes of specific extremes can be seen as politically charged. In some countries, unfortunately, climate change has become a partisan issue. In the aftermath of an extreme event, such as fire or flood, some people may see it as insensitive or political to discuss human-induced causes of loss of life or property. However, in order to fight such terrible tragedies, we must work together to limit these causes as much as possible. Climate changes alter the frequency, intensity, coverage, duration, and timing of extreme weather events. The scientific attribution of specific extreme events has become a research avenue with important benefits to society. Both under-attribution or over-attribution could lead to poor adaptive decision-making, jeopardizing infrastructure, human health, and more. Being able to rapidly analyze the attribution of extreme weather and climate events and comment while an event is still in the media is a significant scientific and communication advance, with potential to reduce future vulnerability to extremes. An assessment of risk requires a scientific basis, not an opinion based on personal perceptions, media reporting, or in response to political discourse. Recent research suggests that personal experience of extreme weather has only a small, short-lived effect on what people think about climate change. If an extreme event was experienced more than 3 months ago, the effect on an individual's view on climate change largely disappears. That's from a Kaniski study. People do not necessarily make the connections that have been shown by scientific analysis to exist between extreme weather and climate change. If we get help connecting the dots, the scientific links clearly stated and reported more often and more accurately in the media, perhaps the effect of extreme weather on our views will be greater and lead to better planning and adaptive changes, improved behavioral change, and more action on climate change.
Reported in the Dove Creek Press, 3 people came to the county commissioners meeting last week to talk about invasive species and water supply. Ken Curtis, engineer for the Water District, launched the discussion about the quagga mussel management. He said that when a lake is infested, the species gum up the works, and it takes constant care to keep things like the spillway grates operational. He said Colorado may be quagga-free depending on what happens between now and summer in Pueblo. So far, McPhee has remained uncontaminated due in part to an $87,000 program that is implemented to inspect boats. Lake Powell is infected, and boaters tend to go from Powell to all local lakes. Most states in the eastern U.S. have the quagga mussels. It is estimated that the cost of dealing with the mussels has been from $100 to $500 million a year. Right now, the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, the U.S. Forest Service, the Dolores Water Conservancy District, and the U.S. Department of the Interior are sharing the cost of inspections. During busy times of the year, inspections at McPhee can be 14 hours per day. Both McPhee and House Creek have decontamination facilities, Curtis said. People can decontaminate their own boats. The boats need to be cleaned, drained, and dry for a week. Boats that hold part of the lake water are more of a challenge. Some types of engines hold water and some pontoons hold water, making them difficult to decontaminate. Curtis said inspections aren't being done on Narragansett and Groundhog Lakes, and DWCD is counting on extended boater education and boater care to protect those interests. In other water news, Curtis said the McPhee has good carryover for 2017, though a dry 2017 summer could mean bad news for the water supply in 2018. He reported that a wet storm in late November boosted southwest Colorado's water supply to near normal.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of December 5th through 11th. 2 separate resident motorists reported a car versus deer accident on Highway 491 in Montezuma County. Dolores County Dispatch relayed that information to both Colorado State Patrol and Cortez Dispatch for their response. CSP was assisted in early morning vehicle rollover with injuries on Highway 491, and a deputy responded to a report by a resident that reported suspicious behavior by occupants of a vehicle parked at a local business. A resident reported a lost money clip. If anyone found one, please contact the sheriff's office. A county resident turned in a backpack found west of town on Road H in the South Bar Ditch. If you are missing a backpack, please contact the sheriff's office. Investigated a non-injury car versus deer accident on Highway 491. That's it for today's roundup. Tune in next time for more updates.
In today's High Country happenings, this just in from the Dove Creek Press. Doug and Linda Funk are pleased to announce the sale of the Dove Creek Press to Keith and Kathleen Kiesling. They will be taking over the business after the first of the year. The Kieslings have made Cajon their home since 2010, living in Colorado since 1993. They bring a history of newspapers to their venture, as Kathleen's parents were owners of a newspaper. They have more recently been working for the Dolores County Sheriff's Office as dispatchers. Keith will continue there, while Kathleen will take the reins as editor. Doug and Linda Funk plan to help the Kieslings with the transition and then go fishing. And yes, they are the parents of our very own Kelsey Kiesling. Friday, December 16th, the Dove Creek Community Voice Group is having an end-of-the-year open meeting at 5 p.m. at the Community Center. After the first of the new year, their meetings will change to Monday nights on alternating weeks. For more details on their projects or to volunteer, call 970-739-0073. Rhonda Lancaster is the new coordinator. Next Monday, December 19th, The Rock will be distributing their Christmas turkeys for those in need. The event takes place at the Rock Building from 5 to 7 p.m. Only 1 bird per family. Proof of residency in Dolores County is needed. And this Friday, December 16th, is the Dove Creek Food Care and Share at the VFW. Anyone in need of food is welcome. It opens at 11 a.m. Additional food is available for those meeting financially challenged levels. ID is needed, and they ask that you bring your own bags. All of the happenings are posted on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replay of the news show and exclusive local 5-day forecast. So be sure to check that out. And let us share your event or notice by emailing us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119. Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 each day respectively.
And check us out on Facebook and the YouTube replays. Like us there, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend.
For Jerry Tope and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kendra Cook. Fear not, love much, and thanks for watching.